few years back, we had family over for a 4th of July gathering at our home. We live in a pleasant neighborhood where we know most of the residents, making it a welcoming place to host events. That day, we had relatives visiting, my brother and his wife, my sister, parents, and a couple of cousins. The weather was nice, so most people were outside around the grill and tables set up in the yard, though some food was inside for easy access. At one point, I stepped into the kitchen to wash my hands and noticed a stranger walking into the side yard. He approached my brother, who was grabbing a drink, and they started talking. The windows were closed, so I couldn't hear their conversation, but the man was holding what looked like a small toolbox. Moments later, they disappeared around the back of the house. Concerned, I went outside to check. By the time I reached the backyard, my brother was returning alone. When I asked who the man was, my brother said he was a neighbor returning borrowed tools. I immediately told him I didn't recognize the guy and had never lent anyone tools. Realizing what had happened, we rushed back inside. The stranger had been let into the basement. We searched the dimly lit basement, finding nothing at first, until we heard a noise. A shelf toppled over, narrowly missing us, and the man bolted up the stairs and out of the house. We called the police, but he was gone without a trace. To this day, I have no idea who he was or why he targeted our home. Another unsettling 4th of July memory comes from my childhood. I was around 10, living with my parents in a busy neighborhood. That night, after visiting family, I walked to a friend's house to watch fireworks. When I headed home later, the streets were quiet. A dark sedan pulled up beside me, matching my pace. Suspicious, I turned down a different street, but the car followed. I doubled back, and the driver stopped, getting out briefly before I sprinted away. He chased me in the car until I spotted my dad in our front yard. The moment the driver saw him, he sped off. I never saw that car again. A more recent incident happened at a 4th of July parade with my young nephew. Everything was normal until a clown, not part of the festivities, approached us. He gave my nephew a high five and hugged me, which felt odd. Later, as we walked home, I noticed him following. He trailed us all the way to my sister's house, lingering in the street until my brother-in-law confronted him. The clown didn't speak, just stood there until he suddenly ran off. Last year, after hosting a small gathering, my wife and I noticed a strange light in the woods behind our house. Someone holding a sparkler. When I went outside to investigate, they vanished. Later, as we tried to sleep, the same sparkler appeared outside our bedroom window. I rushed out, but the person was already gone, leaving behind one of our sparklers. The most frightening experience was when my home was broken into after a fireworks display. Returning late, I spotted a woman in my backyard. She tried the back door, then knocked on a window before breaking in. Hearing glass shatter, I retreated upstairs, only to realize there were two intruders, a man and woman. Their aggressive shouting forced me to escape through a second-floor window. The police later confirmed they had stolen items, but thankfully, I was unharmed. Each of these events left me shaken, a reminder that even on festive occasions, vigilance is necessary. The unsettling encounters didn't stop there. One summer evening, I was relaxing on my porch when I noticed a car idling at the end of the street. It wasn't unusual for neighbors to have guests, but something felt off. The car remained there for nearly an hour, engine running, with no one getting in or out. Eventually, I decided to walk over and see if everything was all right. As I approached, the driver, a man in his 30s, strolled down his window and gave me a forced smile. He claimed he was waiting for a friend B. It couldn't recall the exact address. The way his eyes darted around made me uneasy. I politely suggested he call his friend instead of sitting in a stranger's neighborhood. He nodded, but as I walked back home, I heard his car door open. I turned just in time to see him take a few steps toward me before stopping. He muttered something about getting the wrong street and quickly got back in his car, speeding off. I reported it to the local neighborhood watch, but no one recognized the vehicle. Another time I was out jogging early in the morning, when I noticed a van parked near a trailhead. It had been there for days, always in the same spot. But never with anyone inside. One morning, as I passed by, I saw a man sitting in the driver's seat watching me. I picked up my pace, and when I glanced back, he had opened the door slightly, as if considering stepping out. I changed my route after that, sticking to busier streets. A few days later, the van was gone. But I later heard from a neighbor that a similar vehicle had been spotted near a local park, where a teenager reported being followed. Not all encounters were outright threatening, but some left me questioning people's motives. Once, while shopping at a grocery store, a man struck up a conversation near the produce section. He seemed friendly at first, asking about recipes, but then his questions became oddly personal. Where I lived, whether I was alone often. I made an excuse to leave. And as I walked away, I caught him watching me from the end of the aisle. I circled back through another checkout to avoid crossing paths again.